Good morning. My name is Chris Fox, and today we're talking about raising your standards. This is something that I originally happened across in some material from Tony Robbins, and I really liked what he had to say about this particular topic. And effectively what he had said is that you're sort of the product of your four closest friends. So if you have, a group of five people that you hang out with, you're going to become more like those people and they're going to become more like you. And so if your standard is, okay, I'm going to associate with super successful authors and my four closest friends that I spend time chatting with are all best-selling authors and they're constantly challenging me to rise above them, then I'm going to take a different set of actions than if my closest friends are all, working a dead-end 9-to-5 job and are awed by the fact that I've published a novel. One of those is going to be more gratifying in the short term. If you show up to your friends, you're like, hey, look, I accomplished something really cool. There is that pat on the back, which is nice. But there's no challenge there. There's no one telling you, hey, you need to up your game. You need to do better. You need to try harder. And that, unfortunately, is something that we all need, I think, at every level, because the enemy of all of us is complacency. And it creeps up on you. So in other words, if your standards are being met, then you're going to start slacking off. And you can see this if you look at my recent income video and you look back over the last year. You'll notice that my income, ebook income especially, started to fall because I wasn't trying very hard. My standard was really I needed to make $10,000 a month. And then if I was making more than that, that was gravy. So since I had kind of a big stockpile and had been doing pretty well, I backed off and I wasn't trying as hard. And on the one hand, that was good. I needed to recharge. I needed to, kind of take a look around and recoup my sanity a little bit. But on the other, I really let my standards go. And I stopped trying as hard and I stopped writing as many books and I stopped, with the go, got to make, some money mentality. And this year, I've really changed my standards. I've raised my standards, and you'll see that in future income videos. I mean, I set a very aggressive goal in my goals video and in my income video that I wanted to make $300,000 next year. Well, I definitely want to do that. And 1 month in, I needed to have made $25,000, and I've done exactly that. I've made the money that I wanted to make in every format is the great part of it. So I wanted to sell $1,000 for the paperbacks. I've done that. I wanted to sell $15,000 in ebooks. I've done that. I wanted to sell $5,000 in audiobooks. I've done that. So when the final numbers are tallied, I'll have succeeded in all areas. And I also did enough consulting to have my numbers there. So we're only 1 month in, but I hit $25,000 and things aren't tallied today. It's still the last day of the month. But the important takeaway is I set a financial milestone in my head, a standard. I'm going to be the author guy that makes this crazy amount of money. Now, let it be noted that I've only done $25,000 like twice in my career. So this was like a super rare milestone month. But I decided, you know what? No, this is going to become normal. I'm going to do this on a regular basis. And it started influencing the actions that I took. I changed my focus to be on marketing and to be more on, babysitting my ads and a little bit less on content creation because in my case, that made sense. My new standard required that I look at life differently, that I make some big changes, that I adapt and change and grow and learn. And that is often what happens when we raise our standards. And it doesn't necessarily just have to be about marketing or how many books that you're selling. It could be your weight. You could decide, you know what, this is too heavy. I don't like it. So I'm going to get back to the gym because I'm thinner Chris. I remember Chris back in high school. I want that guy back. If I say to myself, hey, this is my standard, at every point in my life when I've lost weight, that's how I've done it. I've decided, no, I'm a skinnier guy trapped in this fat body and I'm going to change that. So whatever area of your life that you want to change, really what you need to do is raise your standard. Decide that you're better. Decide that you are the guy or gal that makes six figures. Decide that you're the one that writes, 2 or 3 or 5,000 words a day or whatever your ambitious goal is, and start being that person. Interestingly, and this is hearkening back to that Tony Robbins material I was talking about, our standards really dictate our actions. And so in the stories he's telling, he's got some people that are totally content with only paying their rent some of the time. That's their standard. Most of the time they pay their rent. Sometimes they don't. It's cool to be late because in their world, while they may not enjoy doing that, that's something that happens. While other people, myself included, and many other people I know in my life, the idea of missing your rent is unthinkable. Your standard is no matter what, I'm going to pay rent on time. And so somehow we find a way to get jobs. We find a way to get that rep paid on time. It's a standard. But it's not a standard for those people that miss it some of the time. Because if it is a standard, you're going to do whatever it takes to get to that point. You don't get home in the evenings and sit down on your couch and flip on the TV and think, man, I probably should be working. You get to work because you're not that person that you think you should be. So if you decide today that you are someone greater than you have been in the past, and you see this vision of who you are, and you raise your standard, kind of elevate who you want to be, you'll be surprised, I think, at what that does. And you can see just looking at my own finances. I mean, I set these crazy ambitious goals, and you'll get to see over the course of the year whether or not I'm able to hit them all. But I'm going to try because I'm raising my standards. I'm going to be a different person. I'm going to work harder. I'm going to do the things that I have set out and become the person that I want to be. I want to buy a house. That's requiring, again, me going back to my standards. Nothing else that I do is going to have a solid impact. Like, there's no one tip or like one action a day I can take that's going to make it happen. It really has to be, am I the guy that wants to be able to buy a house this year and make my aggressive amount of money? And if I am, then I'm not going to stop working at 4 p.m. when I'm tired and I've put in a full day. I'm going to put in that extra hour. I'm going to knock out those 5 more tasks that'll help me hit the thing that I want to hit, which in this case for me is income. For you, it might be something completely different. But if your standard is higher, if you are a person who you know you are capable of more and you're going to demand more of yourself, then your life will start turning around. You will build that discipline muscle. And all of a sudden, everything that felt like it was out of reach to you is going to start being within your grasp. And especially in authors, I see this all the time, where you've got people who've been working hard for 2-3 years and they're tired and they're discouraged and they're not selling a lot of books. And so they adopt the standard, the identity of, I'm an unsuccessful below mid-list author. And while they're frustrated with that, because that is their standard, they're not continuously trying to change it. It's painful for a lot of them. It was painful for me when I was in that phase. But once you raise your standard and say, no, I am going to be a best-selling author, then you keep working at it and you don't get discouraged and you don't let setbacks derail you. So go back to your standards. Who do you want to be in 2019? Who are you as an author or as a person? And what's going to be different in your life? What are you capable of accomplishing if you give yourself the permission and you cultivate the discipline? I'd like to find out together. And I'd like to hear from you in the comments. What are you resolving to do this year? What is your standard? Who are you becoming that you weren't before? How are you going to be better? Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Let's make some promises. Let's do it together. And we'll check back in 12 months and see how we're doing. I want us all to succeed together, and I believe that we can do that. Anyway, guys, I do need to get back to the writing. I have about 2 more chapters to edit on the very final version of Bert. Then I'm turning that over to Lisa, and it is going live on February 15th as promised. Pre-order's already up, so I am locked in. I need to get back to the writing and then, of course, dive into Nefarious. So I will see you guys next week.